The opening day of the Tour of the Alps, out from San Lorenzo, out into the hills and back. Well, none too small matter of over 3,000 meters of altitude gain crammed into just 148.5 kilometers. And indeed, these brave souls went off up the road. Finlay Pickering, Andrew August and David Baïs. Well, duking it out on the big climb of the day, so a mountains jersey up for grabs to tempt our breakaway. And as for those who are chasing on from the peloton, well, with a day with mountains, there is also days of descending, as you well know. 33 kilometers, the longest descent on the day. And really, that was going to be the killing of our breakaway's advantage. They had a margin of just over 4 minutes, and that was coming down slowly but surely to the last peaks that were up ahead of us. Well, just the run for the line at the end of the day was something of a challenge as well. The last 1,400 meters at 6.6%. It essentially brought out the ambition of teams who had punchers on board, the likes of Felix Gall, the likes, of course, of JP Lopez, Ciccone, most certainly, Jai Hindley. You name it, you had a chance today. Our breakaway, though, was functioning at its absolute highest. The arms were flicking out. They just wanted to share the burden. And indeed, Finlay Pickering it was that just asked Ineos Grenadiers Andrew August to come through at that point. Baïs, both Davide and Mattia were to be part of today's story. Our breakaway finally wound in, and then it was a question of who would take out the big reach for the horizon. Well, this final test of the day that was categorized at 5.7 kilometers in length, and indeed nasty gradients of 8, 9, 10, even 11%. Only a category 2, but once you got up and over the top of it, it was a 10k run down to the series of steps that characterized our finale. So, nervous times for everybody. Punches and counter punches. Last man standing from the break, Finlay Pickering just decided he didn't want, quite frankly, just for the time being, to back into the pack. He is, of course, working for Antonio Tiberi, ultimately deeper into this race, but he is our mountains man. Others were tempted to go and forge into the gap. Eddie Dunbar, the Irishman, 2 stage wins on La Vuelta last year, have not diminished him at all. Despite a crash in Tirreno Adriatico, he's sprightly and was showing that he has plenty of ambition for this race as well, the Irishman. One of the short-handed teams here, Jayco Alula, just 5 on board. Same deal for EF Education Easy Post, but it doesn't stop them rolling the dice and having a dig. Eddie Dunbar just bouncing off up front, and then who else would indeed sail into the gap? It was a big question with 20 kilometers to go, and Jefferson Cepeda was indeed the man who picked up that card, and he played it absolutely beautifully. There was a while that it started to worry those indeed who were still within the pack, who would be motivated to go and cross over to this man. He was looking very handy indeed, getting the gels where they needed to be, and the sun just kept coming and going. High cloud today as well caused some worriment. Paul Seixas and Paul Double were, well, on the double, you might say, trying to get back at Jefferson Cepeda. Ultimately, though, our peloton that was starting to thin down with Felix Gall testing his back wheel, suspicions of a slow puncture for the Austrian, who starts this race as amongst the absolute favourites. But this was a very thin down peloton that would take on the final run for home. Possibly 35 riders in total, and another Baïs. This time it was Mattia that set off. The speed's absolutely the highest, considering that we were indeed with some percentages here to deal with, and 8.5 kilometers to go. Ultimately, though, it was all about punch, and the knockout blow when it came was Giulio Ciccone. He'd started off as favourite for the day, and he lived up to the billing absolutely brilliantly. Ciccone throwing his spectacles away in his characteristic signature celebration. Felix Gall in second place, with Paul Seixas, the brave. So 2 on the podium for Decathlon AG2R La Mondiale. But Lidl-Trek, of course, won this race in the last 2 editions with JP Lopez and Theo Gegenhardt. They're now in the lead again with Ciccone.